king of the bed. This one isn't subtle. One partner sprawls across the mattress like they paid for square footage, while the other adapts, curls, and somehow wakes up with 6 inches of mattress and a philosophical question about their fairness. From a sleep physics angle, this position is wildly unequal. The bed hog gets freedom of movement, better spinal alignment, fewer disruptions, and full access to comfort zones. The other partner? They're working with limited space, often forced into curled or asymmetrical positions that strain the neck, hips, or lower back. One body rests, the other adapts. On the relational layer, king of the bed behavior mirrors waking body language pretty clearly. It can reflect confidence, entitlement, or a need for control, rather than emotional closeness. Research interpretation suggests this pattern shows up more in partners who prioritize autonomy or self-assertion over shared regulation. The shrinking partner, on the other hand, often reflects accommodation, keeping the peace by yielding ground. Neither role is inherently bad, but they're rarely accidental. Bodies rehearse power dynamics long before words catch up. The fine print? Sometimes this position has nothing to do with power and everything to do with restless sleepers, body size differences, or unconscious movement. But if one partner always shrinks to accommodate, that dynamic may extend beyond sleep. Leg hug. This position looks emotionally minimalist, but it's quietly loaded. Both partners mostly do their own thing. Separate sides, separate blankets. Yet a leg reaches out and hooks the other like a gentle reminder, I'm here. Relationship psychology often links this posture to couples with high trust and long-term stability, where closeness doesn't need constant reinforcement. From a body mechanics standpoint, this one's pretty efficient. As each partner does what is most comfortable to them, shoulders aren't crushed, airways remain open, and limbs are free to move. It's one of the rare couple positions that doesn't actively sabotage sleep quality while still maintaining contact. On the emotional side, leg hugging is understated confidence. Couples who sleep this way tend to value autonomy but still want subtle reassurance. It reflects mutual trust, emotional safety, and a shared understanding that closeness doesn't require constant physical merging. You're choosing connection, not clinging to it. The fine print? Because the contact is so subtle, this position can sometimes mask emotional distance. If intimacy is already lacking during waking hours, the posture itself is neutral. The meaning comes from the relationship around it. Big spoon, little spoon. Spooning is the sleep position equivalent of autoplay. You don't plan it, you just end up there. It's one of the most common couple positions, especially in the first few years of a relationship. Evolutionarily, it tracks shared warmth, physical protection, and the deeply wired comfort of not sleeping alone when the lights go out. Biomechanically, though, this position is a compromise. The partner in the back, the big spoon, usually wins. More neutral spine alignment, open chest, and easier breathing. The partner in front, the little spoon, gets emotional gold but physical chaos. Curled posture, forward pulled neck, compressed shoulder, trapped arm, and circulation that slowly fades. It can ease lower back tension short term, but over hours, it often leads to numbness, shallow breathing, or shoulder pain. Cozy? Yes. Sustainable? Debatable. What's happening under the hood is mostly nervous system math. Full body contact increases pressure on the skin, which activates calming pathways tied to oxytocin and parasympathetic activity. Psychologically, spooning carries clear roles. According to relationship psychology findings, the partner behind often takes on a more dominant or protective role, while the partner in front enjoys feeling sheltered and cared for. That doesn't mean control or dependence. It's more about emotional orientation. One nervous system says, I've got you. The other says, cool, I can relax now. This position is strongly associated with affection, trust, and emotional safety, especially when it's the position couples wake up in, not just start in. However, most couples abandon spooning halfway through the night once the arm goes numb, the heat kicks in, or someone needs oxygen. Sweetheart cradle. This position is what happens when one nervous system quietly says, I trust you enough to fully land here. One partner on their back, the other curled in with their head on the chest. It's less common than basic spooning, but psychology research links it to couples who are very comfortable showing affection and emotional openness. From a structure point of view, it's intimate but demanding. The partner on their back gets an open airway and easy breathing, but their shoulder and arm often end up dead by half-night. The partner resting on the chest may benefit from the calming rhythm of breathing and heartbeat, great for relaxation. But the neck angle can be awkward. and spinal alignment usually isn't winning any awards. Psychologically, this posture is loud. If this were a waking position, it'd be one person leaning fully into the other during a vulnerable moment. Research interpretations suggest the partner on the bottom often takes a more dominant, grounding, or emotionally anchoring role, while the partner on top leans into trust, reassurance, and closeness. It reflects comfort with dependency, not neediness, but safety in relying on someone else without fear. From an evolutionary perspective, close chest contact meant warmth, protection, and access to calming physiological cues. Heartbeat, breath, body heat. It's an old mammalian signal that says, you can rest, I'll stay alert. The trade-off is subtle, but real. Over time, this position can quietly reinforce uneven emotional labor. If one partner is always the regulator and the other always the regulated, bodies are honest like that. Sleeping separately. This one gets unfairly dragged. Separate beds or rooms sounds like relationship trouble, but in reality, it often shows up when couples start prioritizing sleep quality over symbolic closeness. Researchers suggest this choice is usually practical. Mismatched schedules, snoring, insomnia, chronic pain. Not emotional collapse. From a physiological angle, sleeping solo is a performance upgrade. No disrupted sleep cycles, no micro-awakenings from movement, better temperature control, and cleaner REM phases. Deep sleep improves, stress hormones drop, and cognitive recovery gets a boost. Your brain's nightly cleanup crew, the glymphatic system, works best when you're not being elbowed at 2 a.m. The body, frankly, loves this setup. Relationally, separate sleeping is emotionally neutral until you add meaning to it. For many couples, it reflects maturity, self-awareness, and mutual respect for each other's needs. If this were a waking behavior, it'd be two people saying, I care about you enough not to sabotage your rest. That said, when separation happens without communication or replaces all physical intimacy, it can mirror emotional withdrawal rather than intentional care. Sleeping separately works best when closeness is still happening somewhere else. Cuddling before bed, intentional time together, or physical affection during the day. Honeymoon hug. This is full body contact with zero chill. Limbs tangled, faces close. Hugging like the night itself might take one of you away. Psychology research links this position most strongly to new relationships or couples who've recently reunited after time apart. Basically, relationships still running hot on novelty, longing, or emotional reconnection. From a physiological standpoint, this position is ambitious. On the plus side, the pressure and closeness can calm the nervous system and boost feelings of safety. On the downside, everything else suffers. Spines twist, hips rotate unevenly, breathing can get restricted, and someone's arm is almost guaranteed to lose circulation. Heat builds fast, micro-movements increase, and sleep quality usually drops after the initial cuddle window closes. This is not a posture built for REM. It's built for bonding. Psychologically, honeymoon hugging is loud, affectionate, and emotionally expressive. It signals passion, reassurance, and a desire to stay emotionally fused. Couples who sleep this way often feel deeply connected, but the intensity can also reflect a need to reaffirm closeness rather than rest into it. This position rarely lasts all night. As attachment settles and relationships stabilize, most couples unconsciously downgrade to something more breathable, back-to-back. Back-to-back sleepers look emotionally distant, but this position is sneakily intimate. You're facing opposite directions, yet your backs still touch. Like saying, I trust you, without needing eye contact. Behavioral analysis suggests this is common in stable, secure relationships where emotional connection is already established, and constant physical reassurance isn't required. Biomechanically, this is one of the more functional couple positions. Facing away opens the chest and airway, which can improve breathing and reduce snoring. Spines tend to stay more neutral than in spooning. Shoulders aren't crushed, and limbs are free to roam without cutting off circulation. The light back contact provides warmth and grounding without restricting movement. Your nervous system gets reassurance. Your joints get a break. Psychologically, back-to-back signals independence with connection. Couples who sleep this way often report mutual trust, emotional security, and respect for personal space. According to sleep relationship research, the contact matters more than the direction. Backs touching equals, I'm here for you. No touching at all can mean something very different. If the backs don't touch, especially after conflict, it can reflect emotional withdrawal. Same posture, missing the key ingredient, face-to-face, the dialogue position. This is the sleep position that looks like it might turn into a conversation at any second. You're facing each other, close enough to feel presence, but not tangled. Cognitive research links this position to couples with a strong emotional connection who still need more communication and shared time together. From a body mechanics perspective, face-to-face is fine, but not elite. Side sleeping helps reduce snoring and supports digestion, but facing inward often means bent necks, uneven pillow height, and shoulders creeping upward like they're stressed about something. Breathing can get slightly restricted if faces are too close, and there's a higher chance of tossing, turning, and accidentally inhaling your partner's 2 a.m. breath. Romantic in theory, questionable in execution. On the mental and emotional side, though, this position is very expressive. If this were a waking posture, it'd be two people sitting across from each other at a cafe, open, attentive, emotionally present. It suggests curiosity, interest, and a desire for emotional alignment. The lack of touching matters here. Closeness without contact often signals respect for boundaries while still wanting connection. Research suggests couples who sleep this way often feel bonded, but may also benefit from deeper or more frequent communication outside the bedroom. The downside? Because it keeps the brain slightly vigilant, it's not ideal for deep, uninterrupted sleep. It can also amplify tension if there's unresolved stuff hovering between you. Silence plus eye-level proximity can feel intimate or awkward, depending on the emotional weather. The cliff. This is maximum mattress separation. 2 sleepers, 1 bed, operating under a strict do not cross agreement. It looks dramatic, but it's more common than people admit, especially after arguments, during stressful life phases, or when 2 independent sleepers collide in 1 bed. Studies suggest this position can follow conflict, but it can also reflect partners who simply need a lot of personal space to regulate themselves. From a physical standpoint, this setup is efficient. Each sleeper gets full freedom of movement, better spinal alignment, unrestricted breathing, and 0 risk of numb limbs caused by someone else's elbow. Sleep quality often improves. Fewer wake-ups, less overheating, less disruption. The body usually loves this position, even if the relationship narrative around it feels uncomfortable. Emotionally, though, the cliff is loud. If this were a waking posture, it'd be 2 people sitting at opposite ends of the couch, phones out, not making eye contact. That doesn't automatically mean trouble. Some couples are highly self-contained and genuinely function better with distance. But when paired with reduced affection or unresolved tension during the day, this position can reflect emotional withdrawal or avoidance rather than healthy independence. The fine print? Context is everything. When cliff sleeping shows up occasionally, it's normal. When it becomes permanent, plus emotional closeness is fading during the day, it can reflect avoidance rather than rest. The posture doesn't cause distance. It mirrors it. Toes touch. This one looks accidental, but it almost never is. Both partners sleep mostly apart, doing their own thing, yet their toes lightly touch, like a quiet signal saying, "Still here." Relationship psychology often links this position to couples who balance independence with reassurance, maintaining connection without needing full-body contact. From a sleep mechanics perspective, this is one of the least disruptive ways to share a bed. Most of the body stays aligned, breathing is unrestricted, and there's no joint compression or trapped limbs. That tiny point of contact delivers just enough sensory feedback to reduce nighttime vigilance without interfering with sleep depth. Emotionally, the nervous system isn't asking to be held or protected. It just wants confirmation of presence. That light touch acts like a grounding ping. We're still connected. You can rest. If this were a waking behavior, it'd be sitting quietly next to someone without talking, perfectly content in shared silence. Couples who sleep this way often feel stable and connected, even if they're not physically affectionate sleepers. The fine print? Because the signal is so quiet, it can be misread as emotional distance if you expect louder expressions of affection. But like all sleep positions, it matters most when paired with how the relationship feels during the day. The stargazing position. Both partners lie on their backs, side by side, with one head resting on the other's shoulder. It looks calm, balanced, almost cinematic, like 2 people watching the same ceiling fan spin and calling it intimacy. Couples psychology links this position to couples with strong chemistry, but where one partner tends to lean more emotionally or practically on the other. From a posture and biology angle, this setup is mostly friendly, with a catch. Sleeping on the back keeps the spine neutral and reduces joint strain, which is great. But the partner acting as the pillow often ends up with shoulder compression, restricted blood flow, and a neck that slowly regrets every life choice. Breathing is usually fine for the person on the shoulder, but if snoring is involved, this position rarely survives the night. Emotionally, stargazing is about alignment. Research interpretation suggests the shoulder-resting partner may be more dependent or accommodating, while the other unconsciously takes on a stabilizing or guiding role. The relationship works, but sometimes one person feels the quiet pressure of being the emotional reference point. If one partner always ends up supporting the other, in sleep and in life, fatigue can creep in unnoticed. Bodies often reveal dynamics long before words do. If how you sleep with someone just reframed your relationship a little, wait until you see what your sleeping position says about you when you're alone. Find out in this next video.